Today we're looking back at the Zimmerman telegram.
But before we get into that bloody mess, let's flash back to what started this whole fiasco.
The shot heard around the world.
On June 28, 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian Empire, was assassinated by a Serbian nationalist.
This heightened tensions throughout all of Europe, causing factions to arise. Germany aided Austria-Hungary, and they called themselves the Central Powers.
Russia, France, Belgium, and Britain all joined Serbia, making up the Allied powers. On August 4th, the Great War erupted across Europe.
This war was a huge controversy in the United States because some citizens wanted to go to war, while others wanted to stay out of it.
President Woodrow Wilson proclaimed neutrality for the United States, stating that the nation must be neutral in fact as well as in name during these days that are to try men's souls.
If the U.S. was to go to war, there was no side that the U.S. could choose without divisions in the U.S.'s diverse culture. The U.S. continued to ship raw materials, munitions, and food to both countries.
In 1915, the Lusitania, which was a British ship with American passengers on it, was sunk by a German U-boat. This moment in history changed public opinion because 128 American citizens lost their lives to Germany's callousness. This only decreased trade relations. It was not enough to completely sever ties, but now the U.S. looked more to aid the Allies.
As the war progressed in Europe, most Americans pressed to go to war, but U-boats were not enough. However, most Americans supported the neutrality, even re-electing Woodrow Wilson off his campaign slogan, "He kept us out of war."
In March of 1916, Germany issued the Sussex Pledge, which promised no more U-boat warfare against the United States. After the first month of 1917, Germany announced that they were violating the Sussex Pledge, so they could finish the war sooner. In response, the U.S. severed all diplomatic ties with Germany on February 3rd.
In January 1917, the British intercepted the Zimmerman telegram, and a month later they sent it with their comments to the U.S. government to capitalize on growing anti-German sentiment. It reads, 130 space 13042 space 13401.
Well, obviously, you guys didn't get that, so let me sum it all up for you. It reads, "We intend to begin on the 1st of February unrestricted submarine warfare. We shall endeavor in spite of this to keep the United States of America neutral. In the event of this not succeeding, we make of Mexico a proposal of alliance on the following basis: make war together, make peace together, generous financial support, and an understanding on our part that Mexico is to reconquer the lost territory in Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona. The settlement and details left to you. You will inform the President of the above most secretly as soon as the outbreak of war with the United States of America is certain, and add the suggestion that he should, on his own initiative, invite Japan to immediate adherence and at the same time mediate between Japan and ourselves. Please call the President's attention to the fact that the ruthless employment of our submarines now offers the prospect of compelling England in a few months to make peace. Signed truly, Zimmerman."
This note changed the course of the war. As quoted by David Kahn, author of The Codebreakers, no other single cryptanalysis has had such an enormous consequences. It is his opinion that never before or since has so much turned upon the solution of a secret message. This note gave proof to the American people that they themselves were being personally attacked by the Germany. The U-boats were not enough, but finally this letter showed the threat Germany was posing on the United States. John Simkin even stated, when President Woodrow Wilson received details of the telegram, he did not immediately declare war, and instead commented, "We are the sincere friends of German people, and earnestly desire to remain at peace with them. We shall not believe they are hostile to us, unless or until we are obliged to believe it."
The press published the telegram on March 1st to show the American public. On April 6, 1917, the U.S. formally declared war. They were able to mobilize the entire economy quickly enough to join the war effort. They came to Britain's aid and established a strong force in the Great War.
This effort led to men leaving to fight and women filling the jobs that were left behind. African Americans joined the ranks of nationalism completely arose. This war effort led to the mass consumeristic economy and a unionized nation.
With the U.S. joining the war effort, the Great War resulted in a victory for Allied powers in November 1918. Woo! Since the war was fought on European land, there was no physical damage on American soil. Soldiers returned, and women began to protest for their own rights. In 1920, the 19th Amendment was ratified. The Lost Generation was formed in response to the effects the Great War had on the American people.
Though nationalism emerged and a huge culture emerged combating the evils of this world through the Roaring Twenties, Europe was still in shambles. The decisions made over Germany resulted in another world war 20 years later.
Also, Woodrow Wilson lost the faith of the American people because of him bringing the U.S. into war. The American people elected 3 Republican presidents before a Democratic president entered the office again.
In conclusion, the Zimmerman Note changed the course of history. Women's rights emerged, African Americans joined the army, and mass consumerism arose. Now finally, since the U.S. joined the war, they helped the Allies. This led to the division of Germany, which would later lead to World War II.
Thank you for watching.
Hey!